Hi, this video is going to discuss the random library that you're going to find within Python and also discuss random concepts. So, first question is, what is random and why do we need it? And randomization within programming is a very important concept. If you've ever played a video game and, something like Candy Crush or anything like that, you know that every time you go into the game, the board is going to change. If you ever play any sort of online game, you know that you don't always hit for the same amount of damage. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. And that's all going to be the result of random number generation or random. So games are going to be one of the most common spots that's going to be found, but it's also going to be something that's very useful in other areas, such as security, generating random things that we need to secure data. But randomization is going to be a really important part of any programming language. Now, within Python, and especially within the class that I am teaching, we're not going to go into insane levels of depth here. But there are going to be a lot of things that go beyond what we're going to talk about here today. But for today's purpose, in order to use any of the random functions, one time at the beginning of the program, you would type in import random. And what that's going to do is that's going to make available all of the random functions to your program. And then the most common function that you're going to find inside of that program, inside of that library, is going to be the randint function. So what you would do is you would start with the name of the library, followed by a dot, followed by the name of the function, and you can see in this case it's going to require two parameters or two arguments. One is going to be what the starting value is going to be, and what the ending value is going to be. And those will be inclusive. So if you said generate a random number between 0 and 1, and the first number was 0, the second one was 1, you would get either 0 or 1. And how this would look if we put this together in one program, you can see that I start the program off by importing the random, and traditionally we would do that at the start of the program just for organization's sake. You can see I've created a variable named randValue, and I've set that equal to the result of the random integer function. And effectively I've said pick a number between 1 and 100, and finally I've printed that value out. And let's give this a run. And you'll see the first time that this runs, we come up with 91. Second time is 32, 44, 75, and so on. So you can see that we do have an element of randomization. We get different results every time that we run the program, and that's absolutely fine. That's what you're looking for. And you can imagine if we were, let's say we were wandering around a jungle in World of Warcraft or something, game I used to play. Most of the time a wolf would show up in a certain area, but every once in a while something super rare would show up. And the way that the game would effectively determine that is by generating a random number. And it might say if it's greater than 95, bring in this special wolf instead of just the normal wolf. And see, we rolled a 54, so at this point it would just do the regular wolf. But effectively over time, this is how randomization works. You are able to roll the same number twice in a row. That certainly does happen. I'm sure you've seen that. Even if you're listening to music and you tell it to shuffle the playlist, I mean, that's randomization. It's flipping between things with no discernible order. So that's how you would use the random library. I'm sure in later chapters when you get into things like if statements, this is where you would use that to determine, okay, if we get lucky and we roll a very high number, we end up facing this very dangerous and rare monster, or we hit our opponent with a critical hit, or we get the exact card we need in the card game we're playing online, and and everything's right in the world. So, but this is how we might use that, and you can see this is just a very simple pick a random number between 1 and 100 implementation. You can of course do negative numbers. You could do a larger or smaller range than this, depending